Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room, a meeting, a boardroom, or an interview and felt like at any second, someone's going to figure you out? Like you've been faking it the whole time and they're just waiting to expose you as not smart enough or not experienced enough or not the real leader they think you are. And if so, you're not alone. See, that sinking feeling has a name. It's called imposter syndrome, and it's one of the biggest confidence killers, especially for leaders who actually care about getting it right. Did you know that 82% of professionals report experiencing imposter syndrome at some point in their career? And that number is even higher among leaders. But here's the truth that nobody tells you. Confidence isn't something that you're born with. It's something you build. And today, I am going to show you exactly how to lead with authentic confidence, even when that voice in your head says, "Who do you think you are?" And I'm going to share with you 3 powerful strategies that have helped hundreds of leaders overcome self-doubt and lead with authentic confidence. And one of these strategies is so counterintuitive that most leadership coaches never, ever even mention it. So why does imposter syndrome hit the hardest when we step into leadership? So you land a new role and suddenly you feel like you're in way over your head. You hesitate to speak up in meetings. And it's not because you don't have ideas, but it's because you're afraid of sounding off. You scroll through LinkedIn and you see other leaders who seem more polished, more confident, more ready. And again, if that sounds familiar, it should. Because as I mentioned earlier, that research shows that 82% of professionals experience imposter syndrome at some point. And that includes some of the most successful people in the world. But here's what makes imposter syndrome particularly dangerous for leaders. See, first, it creates a confidence gap. When you're constantly questioning yourself, you hesitate. And leadership requires decisive action, especially in uncertain times. And secondly, it leads to overwork and burnout. See, many leaders compensate for feeling like a fraud by working twice as hard or preparing obsessively and never feeling like it's enough. And thirdly, and this is probably the most insidious part, it robs your team of your unique perspective. When you're focused on not being found out, you stop bringing your full self to the table. And see, that authentic perspective, that's exactly what your team really needs from you. So the real problem isn't that you feel like an imposter sometime, but the real problem is that you think you're the only one who feels that way. So let me tell you something important. Feeling uncertain doesn't mean you're unqualified. It often means you're growing. It means you care enough to question yourself. And that self-awareness, that's actually a leadership strength and not a weakness. But there's a critical difference between healthy self-reflection and the paralyzing self-doubt of imposter syndrome. And learning to recognize that difference is the key towards authentic confidence. Take Dr. Maya Angelou. Multiple bestsellers, national awards, a literal icon. And yet, after every new success, she still thought, this is it. This is the one where they find out I don't know what I'm doing. But now think about that. If the Dr. Maya Angelou could feel like a fraud, then maybe it's not about whether you're enough. Maybe it's about how you see yourself. Because imposter syndrome isn't rooted in truth. It's rooted in fear. Let me share a personal experience that really transformed how I think about confidence. So I was slated to give a keynote address to a large organization that was holding a conference down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And this was one of those engagements that really could have been career changing for me. And I had everything together, the facts, the slides, all the things that would signify that I was an expert in the subject matter and I knew what I was talking about. But I was shaking in my boots. Now understand, I'm always nervous before I deliver a keynote address or do anything with speaking for real anyway. So it was natural for me to feel nervous, but this was different. Not only was I nervous, I was fear struck. And I was having a serious bout of imposter syndrome. And the night before the presentation, I was in the hotel with my wife. She's not my ex-wife, but she's also one of my best friends. And she was the one that saw right through my fear. She literally said to me, they don't want perfection. They want you, your insights, your wisdom, your experiences, your world perspective. And then she asked me a question that stopped me right in my tracks. She said, what would you say if you didn't feel like the stakes were as high as they are? Or in other words, what would be different if you weren't afraid of being judged? And you see, that question changed everything for me. Instead of trying to be the perfect speaker that I thought they wanted, I decided to be the leader that I actually am. And you know what happened? That speech became one of the defining moments of my career. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. And the feedback I received wasn't about my polish or my expertise. It was about how my authenticity gave others permission to be authentic too. And see, that's when I realized that confidence isn't about eliminating self-doubt. It's about leading through it. So, how do you shut down that voice? How do you lead with real confidence, even on the days when you don't feel it? Well, if you're watching this video, you've already taken the first step. You've acknowledged the challenge. And see, that awareness is powerful. Now, let me show you 3 specific strategies that will transform how you show up as a leader, even when imposter syndrome tries to hold you back. And understand something, these aren't quick fixes or service level tips. They are fundamental shifts that build lasting confidence from the inside out. So let's get to it. Step 1, reframe what confidence means. Confidence doesn't mean you never doubt yourself. It means you keep showing up, even when you do. And most people have a fundamental misunderstanding of what confidence actually is. See, they think confident leaders don't experience doubt or uncertainty, but that's not true. Real confidence isn't the absence of doubt. It's the ability to act in spite of it. And here's the shift I want you to make. Stop waiting to feel confident before you lead. Instead, recognize that confidence is the result of taking action and not the prerequisite for it. Start telling yourself, I am learning, I am growing, and that makes me a strong leader. Because leadership is not about perfection, it's about presence. Let me give you a practical exercise to reframe your relationship with confidence. Create what I call a growth mindset journal. Every day for the next 2 weeks, write down, number 1, one thing you're uncertain about in your leadership. And number 2, one small action you'll take despite that uncertainty. And number 3, what you learned from taking that action. Now see, this simple practice trains your brain to see uncertainty not as a red light telling you to stop, but as a green light inviting you to grow. And if you want a tool to help you build that kind of presence, I created something for you. It's called the Authentic Leadership Playbook. It's a 3-part guide to leading with clarity, courage, and confidence. You can download it right now. The link is in the description. Step 2, collect your leadership proof. Confidence needs evidence, and you already have it. You just haven't gathered it. See, imposter syndrome thrives in the gap between your perception of yourself and your perception of others. You see all your own doubts and mistakes, but you only see the other's polished external presentation. And see, this creates a distorted reality where you're constantly comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reels. And so what's the antidote? Objective evidence of your capabilities and your impact. See, start building your leadership profile. Every time someone thanks you for your insight, every time you speak up, solve a problem, or help someone grow, save the email, Write it down. Screenshot the message. When imposter syndrome shows up, your proof shuts it down. And here's how to build that leadership profile. Number one, create a digital folder or get a physical notebook that's dedicated to collecting evidence of your impact. And number two, set a weekly calendar reminder to update it with recent wins, with feedback, and with growth. And then number three, include quantitative evidence, the results, the matrices, the achievements, and then the qualitative evidence, the testimonials, the thank yous, the moments of impact. And number four, review this file before any high stakes leadership moments, any presentations, important meetings, or even difficult conversations. And see, this isn't about ego. It's about accurately calibrating your self-perception with reality. There was a leader who kept dismissing her accomplishments as just doing my job. But when she created her leadership profile, she was shocked to see a pattern of impact that she'd been making. See, seeing the evidence in black and white made it impossible to dismiss. And remember, when imposter syndrome tells you that you're not enough, your profile shows you exactly why that's not true. Step 3, shift from me to mission. See, self-doubt grows when all you do is focus on you. Do I sound smart? Do I look like a leader? What if I mess up? But real leaders don't obsess over their image. See, they focus on their impact. And this is perhaps the most powerful shift you can make, moving your focus from self-consciousness to service. See, when you're fixated on how you're being perceived, your mental bandwidth is consumed by self-evaluation. But when you focus on the people you're serving and the mission you're advancing, something remarkable happens. The self-doubt fades into the background. Now think about it. When was the last time you were completely absorbed in helping someone else or working on something meaningful? Now see, in those moments, were you worried about how you looked or sounded? Probably not. And that's because purpose is the antidote to paralysis. See, when you shift from, am I good enough, to how can I serve the people I'm leading, your fear fades and your purpose takes over. Here's a practical technique I call the mission redirect. Whenever you notice imposter syndrome creeping in before a leadership moment, ask yourself these 3 questions. Who am I here to serve? What do they need from me right now? And what's the mission that's bigger than my fear? Write down your answers and be specific. Then keep that note with you as you lead. There was an executive who was terrified of public speaking until she started focusing on the information that her team desperately needed rather than her performance. Her presentations became not about her, but about equipping her people to succeed. And here's the irony. When you stop focusing on being impressive and start focusing on being of service, you actually become more impressive as a leader. There's a 4th strategy that I want to share with you, one that most emotionally intelligent leaders use to transform their relationship with imposter syndrome completely. I call it normalize and name it. Most people try to hide their self-doubt, believing it makes them look weak. But what if you could acknowledge it in a way that actually strengthens your leadership? Research from the Harvard Business School shows that strategic vulnerability, selectively sharing your challenges in constructive ways, actually increases others' perception of your competence and authenticity. And here's how to practice this advanced strategy, okay? First, normalize imposter feelings by acknowledging them. Very matter-of-factly. I notice I'm feeling that imposter doubt creeping in right now. And the second thing you do is you name the specific trigger. This happens whenever I'm trying something new or stepping into a bigger role. Then third, refocus on action. So I'm going to focus on what I can contribute, not on being perfect. See, this 3-part approach does something powerful. It transforms imposter syndrome from your identity, I'm a fraud, to normal temporary experiences. I noticed imposter feelings showing up when. See, there was a CEO who used this technique before board meetings where she felt out of her depth. And instead of pretending to have all the answers, she would say this: "This is a complex challenge that has stretched me in new ways. Here's my current thinking, and I value your perspective." Now, see, the result was that board members reported higher confidence in her leadership and not less. See, by normalizing and naming your experience, you model authentic leadership for everyone around you. You create psychological safety that allows others to bring their full selves to work too. See, and that's not weakness. That's the hallmark of truly transformational leadership. Now, let me ask you, what's one moment you showed up as a leader, even when you doubted yourself? Drop it in the comments. I want to read about them, because that is what leadership looks like. Sharing your experiences not only helps people recognize your own courage, but it creates a community where we can all learn from each other's journeys. And if you found value in this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See, I release a new authentic leadership video every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and I don't want you to miss out on strategies that could transform your leadership journey. And if you're ready to talk about taking your leadership to the next level, let's have a conversation. No pressure, just real talk. The link to connect is in the description. See, I offer free 30-minute leadership strategy sessions where we can discuss your specific challenges and map out a plan to help you lead with more confidence and impact. Here's what I really want you to remember. You're not a fraud. You're not behind. You're not too late. You are becoming. Confidence isn't a feeling. It's a choice. It's the choice to keep showing up, even when it's uncomfortable. Every single leader you admire has felt what you're feeling. The difference is they didn't let it stop them, and neither will you. Leadership isn't about waiting until you feel ready. It's about recognizing that the doubt you feel isn't evidence of your inadequacy. It's evidence of your growth. So embrace the uncertainty, collect the proof, focus on your mission, and remember that your willingness to lead despite your doubts isn't just courage. It's the very essence of authentic leadership. Now go and lead. I am Lamondre, and I'll see you in the next one. Live big, live full, live authentic.